Hello, my name is Andrea Lamone, and the topic I chose to discuss was on homelessness. The article I chose was It Would Actually Be Very Simple to End Homelessness Forever. This article was published on Think Progress, and the author to my right is Bryce Kovar. She is an independent journalist and contributor op-ed writer at the New York Times and The Nation. She has won a 2016 Exceptional Media Merit Award from the National Women's Political Caucus, and her writing has been published on Time Magazine, New York Magazine, The Washington Post, and many more. The article begins with mentioning Kirk, who's a homeless man. He has been mostly homeless since September 2009. He has applied to many jobs and has 12,000 pages with 36-cent applications per page in his email inbox. Although he holds a bachelor's degree in pre-law and a paralegal certification from community college, he's only been able to obtain 2 seasonal position jobs, being at Walmart and the United Postal Services. He has tried to get mainly legal jobs, but has been unsuccessful in doing so. He has secured housing briefly, meaning that once he lost an apartment due to unemployment benefits running out, and then another time he was kicked out of homeless programs due to errors in his psychiatric assessments. He is an example of what people think homeless people should be doing to gain access to housing, yet he still hasn't been able to do that for himself. He faces challenges while trying to navigate the system. Some organizations turn him away because he doesn't have enough mental illnesses to qualify for them, and other programs that help the employed with the cost of moving into an apartment also turn him away because of his incorrect mental health assessments from before. So it's very difficult for him to find somewhere to go. Another main point that comes up in the article is discussing the issues with homelessness, so we'll be looking at those as well. One of the main causes of homelessness is the non-affordable housing. In the 1980s, affordable housing disappeared because the Reagan administration cut funding. Therefore, federal assistance fell by 50% between 1976 and 2002. Other causes were gentrification speeding up, the AIDS crisis, the deinstitutionalization of the mentally ill, cutbacks to the social safety net, and the rise of incarceration. The original focus was to make a plan to help people who were mentally ill or who had been dealing with substance abuse before getting them into housing, as well as relying on the shelter system. In the next part of the article, one of the main points thereafter were solutions to this problem. So we will be looking at that next. The first solution that was stated that had progress is changing the mentality around homelessness to focus on the housing first, meaning that their focus would now be getting someone into a stable housing situation before addressing the other issues, such as them having substance abuse or being mentally ill. The second solution was rapid rehousing. This was because due to difficulties in getting back into housing when you've lost it, rapid rehousing would cover the costs such as a month's rent, a security deposit, and the moving costs that it took in order to put people in real housing. For people who experience chronic homelessness or are veterans, permanent supportive housing would be their best option. They have services like healthcare and job training. The next main points in the article were the proof they showed of how homelessness could be resolved and also why it hasn't been resolved yet. So we will also be taking a look at those right now. As to why it hasn't been resolved yet, it's because chronic homelessness hasn't had the same political support as veteran homelessness. People would rather fix the veteran issue first because they have a higher respect for them and think that they deserve it more. It was supposed to end in 2015. However, people weren't willing to invest $300 million to create affordable housing for homeless people. So the solution is clear, but we don't have the funds for it, as well as we're lacking the political willingness to get the funds. Next, we will be talking about the proof of how the problem can be fixed because it has already started to become fixed. So this is that. In 2010, Opening Doors was launched. It was the nation's first comprehensive strategy to prevent and end homelessness. Their goal was to end homelessness among veterans by 2015, and chronic homelessness by 2016, leading until 2020 to end it for families and the youth. Veteran homelessness has gone down by 33%, and the amount of veterans on the street went down by 40%. Last year, Phoenix and Salt Lake City announced they ended chronic homelessness among veterans. The focus was on the housing first approach, in addition with resources like job training and healthcare. That is it for the summary portion. Now we will be analyzing specific passages. I chose, for example, a study by the Central Florida Commission on Homelessness recently found that it costs the state $31,065 each year for each chronically homeless person living on the street in medical and incarceration costs, but it also found that it would take $1,051,000 to give that person permanent housing with services like job training and healthcare. That's just a third of the cost of doing nothing for those without shelter. This passage stood out to me because it's proof that giving permanent housing could save you more than if you just did nothing, and it raises the idea to give more housing to homeless people and see how much it'll save for us. I think it's a win-win situation if people help the homeless rather than causing them to live insufferably with the potential of wasting more money than needed. Next, we'll be looking at another passage and analyzing it. So here we go. This one states, there can be an aversion to supporting anti-homeless agendas, either because the problem seems overly complex and or because the homeless are thought to get their due to individual failings like substance abuse or lack of initiative in getting a job. I think there's a lack of understanding among the general public about homelessness, Vascarnes said. There are many stereotypes about who homeless people are, and that colors public perception. This one also stood out to me because I do believe many people have the same stereotypes about homeless people, and I personally remember hearing that you shouldn't give a homeless person money because they'll just buy drugs or alcohol with it. This quote brings up the idea to not judge someone, as well as people should educate themselves about this topic because people like Kirk need help and they do deserve it. Next will be my conclusion. My overall big takeaway from this article is chronic homelessness needs more support, and there has been solutions to fix the issue that have worked and there's proof of, but if we want to end it, there has to be a political willingness to invest in it. No matter how big the expense, it will save us more money in the end than if we did nothing at all. Everyone should be concerned with this because it's a global issue, as well as anyone can help the problem, even if it's by donating a bit of money to a shelter. The government, however, would make the most impact because they would be able to provide the funds. As well as using Kirk's story, people need to realize not everyone who is homeless becomes homeless due to failings, and thinking that finding a job is the solution is wrongful thinking. Kirk has been trying since 2009 and he's only had 2 seasonal jobs. I know if people change their perspective on homelessness, then they would be more willing to help them. Thank you, and that is all.